Sorry for this inconvenience. Okay, so first I'll try to talk to you about like KLONG, which is the biggest slum in the city of Bangkok, and nowadays it houses like 100,000 people, something like this. So KLONG is settled in the south of Bangkok, just on the borders of the river. And in fact, it's built on the port authorities area. The settlement of these people began in the 50s, when people from the lands had to come to the city because there are a lot of work to do, and they can settle here for a really low income money. But with the time and like the economics growth of the city and time passing, the government started to stop collecting the income from people. So where people settled here in the 50s, it was legal, but nowadays it's not legal anymore. So the government now wants all these people to be evicted from this area, and they want to build like a big new housing design project for different economics purpose, of course. So that's the subject of our project now, is to make a statement and take position on this subject, and we have to develop our projects on how to relocate or make the people who live here a better way, because they have three choices proposed by the government, which are: they have the choice between moving from here to the outside of the city in the lands, but it is of course not practical because all these people have some work which is related to the port location and inside of the city, of course. And they have the second choice to be installed in big flat blocks, like big skyscrapers, like it's the way to live in Bangkok. And the third choice, if they can receive like an amount of money and just go live somewhere else. But when you ask the people who live in KLONG what choice they prefer, they used to answer that they just don't want to move because that's where they live and there's no reason for them to move. So we first analyzed the site by trying to see through the scope of a big home, because when we walked down there, and like the settlement, the organization of the space is quite similar to the function of a home. The slum is totally enclosed on the north by the big highway, and on the south by the ports area, which is not public and not accessible. So there's like a surrounding wall that enclosed these people from the external, like living places in the exterior city, and all that they need is built on site. They have hospitals, they have schools, they can eat on site, they can just like, they built an entire lifestyle of self-sufficiency, and they developed many different communities from small like ecosystems and different ways of settle. This is an example of how the streets in KLONG look like. It's really narrow, and of course mostly low-rise buildings that people used to build themselves because they didn't have the help of any architects or urbanists. So we tried to analyze how they manage the space depending on the lifestyle they developed. And first, the most important observation is that the people in KLONG used to live and work at the same place because they have really simple jobs that are relevant and related to the community. People just have 1-story or 2-story house, and they used to use the first floor mainly to work. They can just propose some small restaurants for the neighbors, or really tiny laundries for the neighbors. It's like really community jobs, or some of them just work for local factories, and they just cut some rubber in front of their houses. So that's how the space is managed in Klong Toei. People used to share their houses between their living and working space. And the organization of the space inside the houses, it's made depending on this live and work at the same time system. So they don't like separate the space, they just manage with the objects, and they don't build walls, but they move, the space is moving depending on the uses, on night or on day. If they have to work on day, they're gonna put some tables and a small restaurant in front of the houses, and they can like store everything by night to go to sleep at the back of the house. And because of course they have to live, work, sleep, eat, bath in really small areas, which are really tiny houses, of course, they used to extend these exterior spaces to the outside of the houses. So they used to put, depending on their activities, they can put like trash bins, of course, or just taking some uses from inside the house and they put them outside the house, like some eating stuff restaurant that they put just in front of the house. And it creates really interesting, like different activities housing system. And one house has like one activity. So some houses has like small kitchen in front of the house, some small rest area, some storage area, small parking. And each of these small activities that are extending the interiors are just creating and generating the outside community public space between these houses. So that's how it works in Klong Toei. Now I will try to just show you a bit about the different communities that we are working on in Klong Toei, which the first one is the Block 456 community, is the oldest one in Klong Toei, which is the most freely developed, more messy, we could say, houses. It's built like really by the people, and there's no master plan, no urbanism idea. They just use the infrastructure they built upon the highway, along the roads from the port authorities and along the railway. So it looks like what we just showed about the really narrow spaces. The second community we're working on is this 70 Rai community. It's a more recent one because it's from a plan to make a better Klong Toei. It's a one project about the master planning, and you have this like draining system for the waters, and of course every houses are well organized along long streets. But we can observe that the lifestyle of people is the same here. It works the same. They used to appropriate the space in front of the houses and used to like design and divide, extend the space as they want, and just use really all the space they have to their needs. The third one is the Ban Kluai community. It's up north of the slum. It's the community that is the most connected to the outside because it's north from the highway, so it's directly facing the rest of the city. It's connected to a public street because it's not that public. Not everyone can just come inside the slum. It's not a public area, but this one is really facing the public street, so it's different. But it works the same as well. It's people use only this 1 meters wide pathway in front of the houses to put all the stuff to store. Like you have tiny 1 meter wide restaurants, tiny 1 meter wide laundries, 1 meter wide parkings, same system. And the last one is the flats community. It's even more modern. It's another way to think the living spaces. And we observed that maybe it worked a bit not that well for the lifestyle that people created since the 1950s, because they have, of course, less freedom to appropriate and design themselves the space. Even if they try, they still try to use the first floors to create some community exchange and interaction as anywhere else in the slum. So yeah, that's it. That's it. We just saw that the slum is really relevant to a sense of belonging, and people from the slum are really proud to be there, and it's like a family. And this sense of community is due to the enclosure from the outside, the narrowness, the proximity of the houses and the spaces. So yeah, I think that's it.